class. So we are doing the review, the trig review 18, 18 review. So find the 6 trig ratios of the following triangle. So we have 2 sides, but not a third. So our hypotenuse here is 35, and our other side is, our leg is 21. So in order to come up with sine, cosine, tangent, we have to unfortunately find that third side. But it's not too bad because we have Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem will help us out. We have a hypotenuse, and then a side. So we'll take the hypotenuse squared minus the side squared under the radical for the Pythagorean theorem. So square root, actually I think I want to use the calculator that's going to give me the simplified radical. 35 squared minus 21 squared. Oh, whoops. 35 squared minus 21 squared is 28. So that side is 28, and that helps us out a lot. Now, I'm going to do a little trick that I didn't show you before, but I think after you practice, you might be able to handle it better. Every single one of these numbers has a common factor of 7. So whenever we take a sine, cosine, cosecant, secant, tangent, cotangent, we're taking 2 sides, and those 2 sides we're going to immediately have to factor out a 7 from both top and bottom. So even though I know the sides of the triangle are 35, 28, and 21, I'm just going to divide out a 7 and just write 7 times 5 is 35. So I'm just going to write 5 there. 7 times 4 is 28, a 4 there, and 7 times 3 is 21. So I'm going to use those, and then I'm already pre-simplified, and I don't have to simplify every single ratio that I write down. So the sine from my angle, another thing I want to do is I want to put an O, an A, and an H in, because those are my 3 labeling for the sides for sine for this angle that I can use for sine, cosine, and tangent and the reciprocals. So the sine of that angle is going to be opposite over hypotenuse, which is 4/5, and then the cosecant is a reciprocal, 5/4. Cosine is adjacent, 3 over hypotenuse, 5. Secant is 5/3, it's reciprocal. Tangent is opposite over adjacent, so 4/3, and cotangent is its reciprocal, 3/4. Woohoo! All right, number 2, secant theta is 15/17. Find the remaining trig ratios. Now, this is a little tricky because you have to actually create a triangle that's a right triangle with an angle theta. Mark them both. I note that secant is the reciprocal of cosine. Cosine is ca, a over h, so secant is h over a. Okay, so that's how I figure it out. I think of its reciprocal, it starts with the other letter c for secant. So cosine is a reciprocal, I know. So ca toas, cosine is a over h, and then I flip it, reciprocal h over a for secant. So h is the 15, and a adjacent is the 17. Okay, now, once again, I don't have the other side. So, wait, can that happen? Hypotenuse over adjacent. You know what, I think we're going to have to make that 17 over 15. That can't happen. I can't have a hypotenuse that's 15 and a side that's 17. So fix that in your copy. And it'll have to be 17 and 15. All right, 17 is bigger, and it has to be in the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse must be bigger than the side. So we have the square root of 17 squared minus 15 squared. So I'm just going to highlight and hit enter and then put these values in. So 17 squared minus 15 squared. And that's 8. So this side has to be 8. All right, fix that in your copy if it's not that already. All right, so none of these can be simplified with the same exact factor like the other ones. The other one had a 7 as a common factor of every single side. This triangle, however, does not, so we can't simplify anything individually. So our sine, again, hypotenuse, adjacent, and opposite. Our sine is opposite over hypotenuse, and then its reciprocal will be cosecant, 17 over 8. Cosine, we already have the secant, so we can flip it. which I'm just going to change. I'm actually going to figure out what it is. 15 over 17 is cosine, and secant is 17 over 15. And then tangent is opposite over adjacent, 8 over 15. And then cotangent is its reciprocal, 15 over 8. All right. So yes, that one you're going to have to switch those numbers, but that's all right. We can do that. All right. Next one, solve for x. Round all answers to the nearest tenth. So we solve for x. You have to come up with our tangent function or sine or cosine, one of the trig functions. In order to do that, we need to go through our step-by-step process. If you recall, is one, label the sides. So first we're going to label the sides. From this angle right here, we have an opposite side, an adjacent side, and hypotenuse. And we don't really need to label the hypotenuse because it's not given a value or we're not looking for it. So we'll leave it alone. We have an O and an A, and that's tangent for SOHCAHTOA. So we'll have tangent 25 is equal to opposite x over adjacent A, 34. So we're going to multiply both sides by 34, and that makes x equal to 34 tangent 25. 34 tangent 25 is 15.9 units. Okay, next one we have our, I forgot to mention, after we label, then we figure out which function, we write our equation, and then solve for x and place in the calculator, round to the nearest tenth. All right, so on number 4, again, we label, so opposite and adjacent. We figure out the trig function, O and A is tangent. We write tangent inverse because we are looking for an angle here. And then we write our ratio of opposite to adjacent, which is 31 over 42. All right, and then we place that in the calculator. Second, tan, 31 divide 42, and that's 36.4 unit or degrees. All right, then the next one is number 5. Again, it's looking for this angle x. So this is opposite, this is hypotenuse. O and H is sine. So we do sine inverse since it's an angle we're searching for or solving for. Sine inverse is opposite over hypotenuse. So we'll do second sine, 17 divide 18, and that's 70.8 degrees. Okay. Next one, we have this angle here, labeling sides, hypotenuse, and this runs right into it, the angle, so it's adjacent. That's CAH, C-A-H, is cosine. All right, so cosine 48 is adjacent over hypotenuse, 17 over x. Now, then we solve for x, and x is in the denominator, so we switch the two, the cosine with the x. So x equals cosine, 17 over cosine 48. All right, so 17 divide cosine 48. If I hit the 1 on the 17, it helps, then I get approximately 25.4 units. Okay. Next one, we have this angle here. This side goes right into it, and then x is the hypotenuse. So again, it's A and H, which is cosine. Cosine of the angle 43 is equal to our adjacent over our hypotenuse, and we can switch. So x equals 31 over the cosine 43. 31 divide cosine 43. So calculator, the buttons don't work. Keep pushing things and that's not typing in the number. All right, 42.4 units. That's what we get for that one. Then here's our angle. So this is opposite and hypotenuse. And the opposite and hypotenuse is sine. Opposite divided by hypotenuse. So sine inverse, because we're looking for the angle x degrees, of the ratio of opposite to hypotenuse, 11 over 35. Second sine, 11 divide 35. Oh, I hope I always check these because this is a bad calculator. have to keep retyping. 18.3 degrees is that angle. All right, so we still have 5 minutes. Let's see if we can do a couple more. Number 9 asks us to find the perimeter of triangle ABC to the nearest tenth. And I think I'll stop with this one, but the perimeter is found by solving the triangle, meaning we want all of the sides. So I would just pick a side. This is adjacent. We have the hypotenuse, and that's according to the angle B, which is 29 degrees, and A and H is cosine. So in order to find A, we would have the cosine of 29 degrees is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So A is going to be 15 times the cosine of 29 degrees. So 15 cosine 29. Again, my 5 didn't register. So 15 cosine 29 is 13.1. All right, and then we can, I'll use a different color, find this side, which we're going to call little b, and it is the opposite side, BO, opposite side, and then 15 is the hypotenuse. So O and H is sine 29 is equal to B over 15. So B is 15 sine 29. 15 sine 29 is 7.3. All right, so for the perimeter, we have 15 plus 7.3 plus 13.1. I think are all of our sides, and I'm just going to extract what I have in my calculator already and do that plus 15. I'll get the more accurate answer of 35.39, or 35.4 units is the perimeter. All right. I think I'll stop there and we'll finish up with the rest on part 2.